Yep. Well, figured that much. Yep. Alright, that's interesting. What's in here? Yep. Oh. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Burrs, here to talk to you today about the National Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, or better known as H.R. 38 in the House and S. 446 in the Senate. Now, what happened a few days ago is the House passed this bill, H.R. 38. They did add on to it the FixNICS bill, and if you have reservations about that, then you can take that up with that. I'm speaking specifically about the National Concealed Carry Reciprocity portion of this entire thing. The Senate bill, though, does not have the FixNICS Act in it and combined. So that's of note there. As far as H.R. 38 goes, there's some interesting things that I think people should hear and listen to and pay attention to, particularly if you live in Maryland or other states where it is extremely difficult to get a concealed carry permit. And for myself, who has 2 concealed carry permits that are out of state, even though I do live in Maryland, this is very, very important for me. Inside here on page, what page is this on? 5. On page 5, it reads, "And who is carrying a valid license or permit which is issued pursuant to the law of a state and which permits the person to carry a concealed firearm." That language right there means if you live in a state that is very difficult to get a concealed carry permit, but you have an out-of-state carry permit, like for instance, if you're in Maryland, if you have Pennsylvania, or if you have Virginia, this line right here means that you would be able to carry a concealed firearm in Maryland, or what other state you're in that is very difficult to get a concealed carry permit in. The other interesting thing, which is this even on? The other interesting thing in this, and a lot of people will find this a good thing, is it states in here, a person who carries or possesses a concealed carry handgun in accordance with subsections A and B, which are referenced prior, may not be arrested or otherwise detained for violation of any law or any rule or regulation of a state or any political subdivision therefore related to the possession, transportation, or carrying of firearms unless there is probable cause to believe that the person is doing so in a manner not provided for by this section. Now, we all know there's been tons and tons of videos out there, people being detained for exercising their right to carry a firearm if they're a concealed carry permit holder, etc. So this right here is very interesting. Now, how it applies once it actually gets out there into the wild, if this is to become law, is another story. But this right here means that you can't be detained, unless you have probable cause, you can't be detained just for simply carrying a firearm, which we know happens a lot in this country. So much wording in here. So I've been out there supporting this bill. As we all know, in the Constitution, the Second Amendment, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Bear means carry. It is your right via the Constitution to do so. What this bill is doing is basically saying if you do have a carry permit in a state, every other state has to recognize it. I don't really see the harm in that. It's not giving control to the federal government. It's basically this bill is giving control back to the people in relation to the unjust permitting that has been taking place for so many years. Now, if you're unjustly detained, this also says in here that the government will pay for your defense bills in relation to your attorney fees if you are found to win your case. You get your attorney fees paid by the government. So here's the difference, though, that we have to discuss in relation to people who are in states. They have out-of-state carry permits because their state is so restrictive, or they are a may issue. If you're in a may issue state, this is what you want to listen to. In the Senate bill, this has to change. This language has to change. It says the exact same thing, but at the end, it says, or transported in interstate or foreign commerce in any state other than the state of residence of the individual. I'm not sure the wording there is exactly correct. It almost seems like you can't carry in your state if you have a permit in that state based off this language. But I'd like to see this language in the Senate bill change to the language in the House bill. The House bill is much more straightforward and easy to interpret, in my opinion. In the House bill, it simply says at the end that has been shipped or transported in the interstate or foreign commerce in any state. So you replace in any state with, or you replace this in any state other than the state of residence of the individual with in any state. That's as simple as it has to be. So we gotta get that changed in relation to our may issue people out there who are carrying, men and women who are concealed carrying, who have out-of-state permits. We have to get that changed so that everyone can carry in every state, no matter what. So I think in general, the National Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act. I'm not talking about FixNICS. We need to tell them that you don't want that. But in relation to the concealed carry portion of this, I think this is extremely good, and I think it's a good step forward for our country to get on board with concealed carry and show it in a good light. We all know that concealed carriers are 99.87% law-abiding, not arrested, not convicted of crimes, and I think this would help move this movement forward in relation to concealed carry. If you guys are interested in the study that I put together where it showed 99.87% of concealed carriers are law-abiding, I'll put a link down below to that. If you're interested in these, I'll put a link down below to them, and follow it. You got to tell your senators that you want them to vote for S446, but you want to make sure you tell them to change the wording to match the House bill, H.R. 38, in relation to concealed carry, because you don't want to have this pass and then people who are in may issue states still can't carry in their state. Their state is still tyrannically holding it over them that they can't carry. Yet you can have out-of-state people carry in your state. We don't want that. So make sure that change happens. Make sure that you tell your senators that you want that change to happen, and I'll put the links down below. So if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know. If you guys have information you want to share in regard to the National Concealed Carry Reciprocity Act, go ahead and put that down below as well. Share it with us all. Tell us how things are going with your state and with your representatives. And until next time, later.